What's going on, everybody? I'm Jory Goodman, the Time Teller. So rarely do we see any dress watch microbrand offerings, let alone any dress watch microbrand offerings that knock my socks off. And today, my socks are off. I'm not wearing any socks. If you want to see my feet pics, you got to subscribe to the Time Teller OnlyFans. Why did you Google that? You Googled that. It is 3:25 p.m. Let's get down to business. All right, we are taking a look at the first Pitzmann. That's the name of the watch, and it's made from a microbrand called Pitzmann watches. Now, the name sounds German with two N's at the end, so it's not, a Jewish name, Goodman. If you ever see a name with M-A-N-N, it's specifically not Jewish, just so you guys know. But it doesn't matter, because this watchmaker is not Jewish, they're not German, they're Korean, from Seoul. Now, as you know, I don't really care where a watch is from, I care if the watch is good. And this Pitzmann is awesome. Jumping into the specs, 316L stainless steel case, pretty standard, 39mm case diameter, 47mm lug to lug, 11.6mm thin. Glass is double dome sapphire crystal with anti-reflective coating on the inside and anti-smudge, specifically anti-fingerprint coating on the outside. Let's see, it has a stainless steel screw down case back. This is a push-pull crown. The movement is a Swiss-made Sellita SW261 shockproof protection Inca block. We're going to talk about that in a moment. 38-hour power reserve with a 100-meter water resistance rating. So this is some pretty good specs, especially for a dress watch. Seems to be usable, right, with the stainless steel case and 100-meter water resistance rating and that shockproof Inca block protection. But also, there's a premium placed on cleanliness and elegance. It looks like it's very well executed upon. So I've said numerous times on this channel that simplicity is often nice on a watch, but it's also precarious for the watchmaker, because the more simple a watch is, the more pressure it puts on a watchmaker to really nail the execution, right? If there's a very busy dial, there's a lot going on, which we see a lot with these micro brands, very dynamic dials, a bunch going on, a lot of noise on the dial, so to speak. That's easier to kind of fudge your mistakes, your less deliberate design cues. When a watch is very simple and elegant like this, there's not as much to kind of draw the attention away from any mistakes or any kind of non-deliberate choices on the dial. We'll put it at that. So before I say anything else about this watch, because again, people don't like when I give you too much of my opinion before the pros and cons, let's just get into the pros and cons. Pros. I'm a sucker for white enamel dials. That's right, this is an enamel dial and blued hands. Now, when I say blue hands, it's my favorite type of handset finishing, right? White dial, blue hands. People are often like, oh, well, that's probably painted blue. Not in this case. With this first Pitzmann watch, I don't really like the model name, by the way. The first Pitzmann. You could have thought of something a little bit better, Pitzmann, but whatever. These are heated metal hands. So the bluing, the blued tone is from heat. So that's like the proper way to do it. You're not going to get any weird flakes coming off of that, like some of the Seagull watches I've taken a look at. The blued paint came off the handset. Anyway, the numerals very subtly catch the light very, very well. Again, they're not applied, they're painted, but it's an enamel dial and it bubbles up the top. It's still very dynamic, still catches the light, looks incredible. Great contrast with that enamel dial and the blue handset. And the crystal sits atop the case perfectly, gives a tiny bit of distortion, which I happen to like, but it looks very nice, very elegant. Using a Sellita with small seconds is the next pro, because it gives it a nice touch. It's not your normal three-hander. Small seconds is always very fun to look at, especially when we're talking about dress watches, but makes the watch very, very interesting. Now, speaking of that Sellita, okay, the Sellita SW261, it's not a movement I've reviewed on this channel, I don't believe, before, but essentially it's an SW200 one with a small seconds, okay? Now, the SW261, if you look at it, has a date complication. but this dial does not accommodate a date complication. So I know what you're thinking. Oh God, they just ghosted the date. They just covered up the date, and so there's a date complication somewhere in the watch. Not exactly, okay? So according to Pitzmann, as it is a non-date watch, talking about the dial, the ghost position was eliminated during crown operation by removing the date disc in the movement and changing the setting lever jumper in 2 steps. Therefore, if you pull out the crown from the winding position, you can adjust the time right away. So they've purposefully taken into account that people don't like ghosted dates because there's 2 crown positions and it's kind of annoying and there's a date wheel in there moving somewhere. Yeah, they've removed that. So that's very cool. That's some extra attention to detail that they've paid to this watch. Also, they've added Inca block shock protection on the movement. So this is a modified Sellita SW261. Very, very cool, but the watch is not perfect. So let's take a look at the cons, okay? Huge missed opportunity with the case back. It is a stainless steel case back. Probably should have gone with a display case back. In my opinion, would have made it that much nicer. Kind of boring case back. The next con would be that the factory strap is fairly stiff, okay? Not my favorite strap. I don't think that Pitzmann makes these straps in-house because the strap, I believe, says made in Indonesia on it. So whatever, they got to cut costs somewhere. I get it. I rarely wear my watches on factory straps anyway. So, you know, whatever, take that with a grain of salt. The next con is kind of the final con as I see it. And it's actually not really as I see it. It's kind of as you might see it as the viewer. So $845 price tag US dollars might be a lot for people to consider, especially when you're looking at a Korean micro brand, right? I think it's pretty reasonable, honestly, under $1,000 for this amount of attention to detail paid to this watch. The specs, the detail, the execution, the modified Sellita movement. This is pretty cool. Enamel dial, heated hands. Very, very nice, very elegant, very well done, and I think worth every penny, in my opinion. But I understand when we're looking at micro brands, and when we're looking at, Asian micro brands, people don't like spending, over $500. So that's going to make it to the cons list, but I think it's worth that price, personally. All in all, okay, this isn't just some throwaway attempt at a dress watch. This is a very nice everyday dress watch, right? As I said earlier, stainless steel, Inca block protection, modified movement, enamel dial, 100 meter water resistance rating. This is something you could pick up and wear every day. Looks good with t-shirt and jeans, looks good with more formal attire. It's a dress watch at the end of the day, but one that you won't have to baby. Bottom line, this is the real deal, in my opinion, right? It's pretty dang impressive for the price. The only thing I kind of take issue with is the boring case back. I would have liked to see a display case back, but when the watch is on your wrist, you can't really see the case back anyway. Now guys, if you're interested in this watch, guess what? They didn't just sponsor this episode by sending me the watch. They've also offered my viewers a little bit of a discount. So I have the coupon code here. We're going to put it on screen. Time Teller 22, okay, all caps, Time Teller 22, Gato, flash it in red, put flames, you know what, do a little like shooting star or something. You know what, give me a cowboy hat, Gato. Yeah, you know what, give me a cowboy hat and give me, ooh, you know those old school 3D glasses? Give me a cowboy hat and 3D glasses. Yeah, okay, Time Teller 22, it is $100 US off, available for 1 month. After this review goes live. So please take advantage of that. Support the people that support the channel. I really do appreciate it. Pitzmann, thanks for sending over the watch. And yeah, really cool piece. And honestly impressive for the price. They clearly did a lot of... they put a lot of effort into it. It's not just some throwaway microbrand, guys. I dig it. Let me know what you think. Leave me a comment. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay blessed. I'm Jory Goodman, the Time Teller. Always remember, I didn't invent time. I just tell it.